Have you ever felt that wave of just pure relief when plans get canceled? Or maybe you found that some of your best moments are when you're just by yourself. Society has a word for that. They call it lonely. But is that really what's going on? Today, we're going to dive into the psychology behind people who genuinely enjoy their own company. So right off the bat, let's just challenge this big assumption. Think about it. Our culture kind of treats solitude like it's a disease and constant social connection is the cure. But what if being alone isn't a problem? What if it's actually something else entirely? Okay, and this right here, this is the core of what we're talking about. On one hand, you've got the social script, the story we're all told. Being alone means you're lonely, you're sad, something about you needs fixing. But then you look at the other side, the psychological reality. And it could mean that it's chosen, that it's powerful, that it's a sign of being self-aware. We're going to spend the next few minutes really unpacking that difference. So first things first, we've got to tackle this stigma. To really get what's happening on a psychological level, you have to ask, why is it that when we see someone alone, our first thought is often, oh, they must be lonely? Well, it starts really early. From the time we're kids, right? Group activities get all the praise, and being an extrovert is held up as the ideal. We're just bombarded with these messages that a packed calendar and a huge circle of friends are the signs of a happy, successful life. So naturally, being alone starts to look like you've failed at that ideal. And come on, I think so many of us can relate to this on a really deep level. It's not that you don't like your friends, of course not. It's that sudden, beautiful gift of unscheduled time with yourself that just feels like a total luxury. That feeling? It isn't antisocial. It's actually a clue that there's something else going on inside. And that brings us to this really powerful way to reframe this whole thing. What if this preference for solitude isn't some kind of flaw that you need to fix? What if it's actually a strength? A kind of psychological superpower? This is the question that just flips the entire script. Instead of looking at the need for alone time as a red flag for sadness or isolation, what if we saw it as a green flag? A sign that you're so comfortable, so secure in who you are, that you just don't need all that constant external noise to feel whole. So how does this actually work psychologically? Well, it really all boils down to one key idea: where you get your sense of worth and approval from. It's all about your internal validation system. Okay, so here's the scientific term for it: internal locus of evaluation. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying that you hold the scorecard to your own life. Your sense of accomplishment, your self-worth, it comes from within, based on your own values, not from, racking up likes or compliments or getting a pat on the back from other people.
And look at this comparison. It makes it so clear. Think about it. External validation is waiting for someone else to say, good job. But internal validation, that's when you finish something and you feel that pride yourself no matter what anyone else thinks. One is all about seeking approval from the outside, while the other is about seeking authenticity from the inside. It is a fundamental shift in how you operate.
Okay, so having that internal scorecard is a game changer. But what fuels that? Well, it's actually something even deeper. And that brings us to the next really important piece of this puzzle. This is kind of the big twist here. What society often mislabels as loneliness, psychology might actually call high self-concept clarity. All this means is that you aren't confused about who you are. You have a really strong, stable sense of your own identity. You know your principles, you know your passions, you know your boundaries. And here's the thing, this is so crucial. When you have that kind of clarity, being alone isn't scary. It's actually peaceful. You're not trying to run away from your own thoughts. You're actually enjoying the company of the one person you know best, yourself. And this right here just lays it all out so perfectly. See how that works? It's like a chain reaction. It starts with knowing who you are. That's your high self-concept clarity. Because you know yourself, you can trust your own judgment. That's your internal locus of evaluation. And because you trust your own judgment, being alone becomes a choice, a chance to recharge and just connect with your true self. Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world? What are the practical, tangible benefits of all this? Let's break down these so-called superpowers. Well, when you have this clarity, you're just naturally more resistant to peer pressure, right? Because you're not looking for that outside approval. You start making decisions that are authentic to you. This builds this deep, stable sense of self-trust. And it means you're way less emotionally dependent on other people for your happiness. And all of that leads to a much greater sense of internal peace. And what's really important is that these aren't just personality traits. They are skills you can actually develop. And listen, this is a really important distinction to make. Enjoying your own company is not about being antisocial or disliking people. It's about being self-sufficient. It means your social life is a want, not a need. It's something you choose to enrich your life, not something you desperately need to feel okay. So, we'll leave you with this one question to really think about. When you evaluate your day, or your work, or even yourself, whose opinion truly matters the most? Who is holding the scorecard to your life? Because honestly, the answer to that question, that might just tell you everything you need to know about your own relationship with being alone.